In our previous video, we talked about Babur's authority in Central Asia and how he lost his conquered thrones of Samarkand and Fergana to Muhammad Shaibani Khan. We're going to see the historical background behind Babur claiming the Kabul throne in this video. In order to proceed with our video, we must first examine Babur's relationship to Kabul's monarchy. When Babur was sworn in as the ruler of Fergana, Ulugh Bey II was in charge of Kabul. Ulugh Bey Mirza was the son of Timurid Emperor Abu Sa'id Mirza and was brother to Babur's father Umar Shaikh Mirza. Through this, Babur and Ulugh Beg shares a relationship of uncle and nephew. The cities of Kabul and Ghazni were granted to Ulugh Bey by his father, the emperor, for him to rule over first as a prince, and then, upon the demise of Abu Sa'id Mirza, as their ruler. Similar to that, Abu Sa'id Mirza granted each of his sons a territory to rule. His eldest son, Ahmed Mirza, received Samarkand, Mahmud Mirza received Badakhshan, and Umar Shaikh Mirza received Fergana. Between 1461 to 1502, Ulugh Bey ruled for 41 years in peace and stability. Ulugh Bey Mirza supported the arts and culture, and Kabul developed into a center of culture during his rule. Ulugh Bey loved gardens and had them built, including Bahisht, or the Garden of Paradise. Babur observed this quality, and subsequently he too grew to appreciate gardens after Ulugh Beg's death in 1502. A crisis developed. Abdur Razak Mirza, the son of Ulugh Bey and his heir, was a minor at the time of his father's passing. As a youngster, he found it challenging to uphold his monarchy. One of Abdur Razak's ministers, Shirim Zika, claimed the throne. Shirim Zika was then deposed by Muhammad Mukim Agun, who later assumed control of Kabul after marrying Bibi Zarif, the sister of Abdur Razak Mirza. However, Mukim Agun was only seen as a usurper by the local inhabitants and other Timurids. Babur had set out from Fergana in 1503 with the goal of marching to Kabul to overthrow the usurper and claim a domain for himself. Some of his previous retainers and some Mughals from Khusru Shah of Kunduz were with him. Babur learned that Mukim Agun's commander Bey was camped against the Baran River with an army to prevent fugitive Abdur Razak from fleeing when he was camped at Umstur. Babur marched across Hupian Pass after hearing this. Babur arrived in the Juju Valley's slopes around midday the following day and dismounted. Sherak Agun's camp was ambushed by Babur's reconnaissance soldiers close to Ikari Yar. After some combat, the Babur's warriors took the upper hand, scattered their foe, and captured roughly 80 troops, among them Sherak Agun. Sherak was spared death and taken into service by Babur. They then set up camp in Korabaj and discussed their options, either marching on Kabul or waiting for the capitulation. He embraced the advice of his ministers to march on Kabul. Kabul was besieged by Babur after his invasion. Between Haidar Taki Garden and Kul Bayazid's tomb on one side, 4 gardens on the other, and Kutlug Kodam's tomb by Jahangir Mirza on the third, Babur ringed the town from 3 sides. Babur's Bey frequently encountered Mukim Agun. Occasionally they brought justifications. Other times they brought phrases of agreement. Mukim Agun was taking his time since he had asked his father and older brother in Kandahar for assistance and was still waiting for it. Babur gave the order for his entire army to advance on Kabul. The city's defenses withdrew as Babur's men approached Courier's Gate and began displaying their skill, and Mukim Agun eventually gave Babur the city. Mukim and his family were granted safe passage out of Kabul by Babur, who spared their lives. Babur won control of Kabul without a struggle in October of 1504. As a result of this deed, he gained a new kingdom, recovered his financial status, and assumed leadership of it until 1526. Because his new mountain realm was only earning a pitiful sum of money, Babur conducted his first foray into India in 1505. His memoirs quotes him as saying, "My desire for Hindustan had been constant. We left Kabul for Hindustan during the month of Shaban with the sun in Aquarius. The raid across the Khyber Pass was quick." Babur joined forces with Sultan Hussein Mirza Baikara of Herat, a fellow Timurid and distant relative, to fight their shared foe, the Uzbek Shaibani, in the same year. Due to the fact that Hussein Mirza died in 1506 and his two sons were not willing to fight, this endeavor did not succeed. Instead, Babur stayed in Herat because the two Mirza brothers had invited him. At the time, it served as the Eastern Muslim world's cultural hub. The city's vices and luxuries revolted him, but he was amazed by its intellectual wealth, which he claimed was filled with learned and matched men. He stayed there for 2 months before having to depart due to resource shortages. After Shaibani took control, the Mirzas left. Following the fall of Herat, Babur was left as the only king of the Timurid dynasty, and many princes fled to Kabul in response to Shaibani's western invasion. Thus, he adopted the Timurid emperor title of Padshah, but this title was unimportant given that the majority of his ancestral territory had already been conquered by Muhammad Shaibani Khan. Kabul itself was under danger, and Shaibani was still a danger. Babur defeated a potential uprising in Kabul, but 2 years later he was driven out of Kabul by a mutiny among some of his top generals. Babur fled the city after only having a few allies, recaptured Kabul once more, and won the rebels' support. Ismail I, Shah of Shia Safavid Persia, defeated and killed Shaibani in the meanwhile in 1510. Babur and the remaining Timurids took advantage of the chance to retake their ancestral lands. Babur and Shah Ismail collaborated during the ensuing years in an effort to conquer sections of Central Asia. Babur accepted the Safavid suzerainty over him and his subjects in exchange for Ismail's support. So, in 1513, after handing over control of Kabul to his brother Nasir Mirza, he was able to capture Samarkand for a third time. He also captured Bukhara, but lost both cities to the Uzbeks. Khanzada, Babur's sister, who had been imprisoned and forced to marry the recently deceased Shaibani, was reunited with him thanks to Shah Ismail. After 3 years, Babur visited Kabul once more in 1514. During the next 11 years of his leadership, he mostly dealt with minor uprisings from Afghan tribes, his nobility and his kin, in addition to leading raids into the eastern mountains. Despite the fact that it was a relatively quiet time for Babur, he started to modernize and train his army. In the meantime, subscribe to our channel. We'll continue Babur's story, and in our next video, we'll explain how Babur conquered India and founded Mughal Empire.